I do think that if there were incriminating documents about Epstein linking him to Trump in terms of anything improper Trump had done, the Biden administration would have found those documents and found a way to put them out there. And so Democrats are going to be feeling like they're left holding an empty bag if this is their top campaign theme next year.
The Trump administration's release of just some of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein has been criticized as failing to comply with the law. The files released so far by the US Department of Justice make up just 1% of the reported 300 gigabytes of data from the Epstein investigation. But the Justice Department says it has erred on the side of redacting to protect victims. Let's speak now to Daniel Lippman, White House reporter for Politico. Daniel, thanks very much indeed for joining us on Times Radio.
So thanks for having me.
This tranche comprises 300,000 documents. Is it really only 1% of the entire Epstein files?
That's what it appears to be, but and there's a promise by the Trump administration to the U.S. Congress that they would release all of these files by yesterday, and they did not. So some Democrats are making hay of this, saying the Trump administration failed to comply with the law. They have thrown a lot of lawyers and agents at the Department of Justice to do a lot of redactions, and we expect more files in the next few weeks. But this is a big letdown for people who thought, release the files, and it seems like it's nothing new.
Well, this is the point. I mean, do we think if they released all of the files, and it's going to take a very long time, will they ever be satisfied? The people who have been demanding release the Epstein files, is there anything that they realistically are going to see that will make them, finally be satisfied?
It appears like it's very little. There are still people decades after JFK's assassination who are questioning the what happened there. There are people who are 9/11 conspiracy theorists who still to this day they want to play journalist and try to figure out what happened. And so there's always going to be this crackpot part of American society that does not believe the official story. And I do think that if there were incriminating documents about Epstein linking him to Trump in terms of anything improper Trump had done, the Biden administration would have found those documents and found a way to put them out there. And so Democrats are going to be feeling like they're left holding an empty bag if this is their top campaign theme next year.
Okay. And as we say, it is only 1% of the entire Epstein files. However, it is a huge amount nonetheless. 300,000 documents. People have been spending the last few hours trawling through them. How much new have we learned from what has been released?
Very little. It's mostly photographs. Some of them had been in the public domain before. And actually, a number of them are of former President Bill Clinton, and his, shown in a hot tub, shown with a woman looking, pretty close, by her. They're like kind of in an embrace of some sort, and they redact these women's faces, and it makes them look like, Bill Clinton was up to no good. And the White House has been touting this and saying, look at what we found. And Bill Clinton's spokespeople are saying, this is ridiculous. This is, 20-year-old photos, nothing new to see here. There's Prince Andrew, or former Prince Andrew appears in, some of these photos. But there is a lot of stuff that had been released before, including of, Trump with Epstein, photos that were in the public domain previously. So this kind of also reminds me of what Pam Bondi, remember she had those binders of Epstein documents. She gave them to the conservative influencers at the White House, and it blew up in her face.
Yes. Now, we should obviously make clear that anyone who appears in these photographs, we're not suggesting that they are in any way involved in the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. Nonetheless, it is quite embarrassing. And there are lots of redactions. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, the MAGA Republican congresswoman, who was once US President Donald Trump's biggest cheerleader, she's taken to Twitter or to X to say that what MAGA always wanted was drain the swamp, and draining the swamp means expose them all, the rich, powerful elites who are corrupt and commit crimes, not redact their names and protect them. What happened to "I am your retribution"? I mean, is that a common view in the US amongst Republicans?
Somewhat, but a lot of Republicans were pretty muted yesterday, and so they want to move on after this issue and controversy. And Democrats, they do not expect them to make a big issue of this next year in advance of the midterm elections, because they know that maybe for a small section of America, they really care about the Epstein Files, and it may affect their vote. But for the vast majority of Americans, they're voting based on their pocketbooks, how they're feeling economically, and many of them are angry at Trump for not bringing inflation down, the prices down as much as he had promised. And they see the chaos of Washington and his tearing apart at some of the democratic norms, and they are not happy about that. But Epstein does not affect most Americans' daily lives, and so Democrats are wary of making this too big of a campaign issue.
Yeah, and if people did want to force the release of the rest of the documents, what are the avenues available, for instance, for the Democrats to do this?
Well, you can always go to the Supreme Court, but remember, this is the redactions. Are many times to protect victims, and some of these victims are saying, "Oh, I don't want to be protected anymore. I'm now an Epstein survivor publicly. I'm against a sexual violence prevention advocate, and so it doesn't matter if my name appears." But the Justice Department seems to be erring on the side of caution, where they do a lot of redactions. And there's also ongoing investigations. Remember, Trump, he put the Department of Justice, hey, look at Epstein and any connections he has with Democrats. But I do think that it's besides people like besides Jeffrey Epstein himself, it seems like what Americans do not want to accept is that this was primarily a sex trafficking ring to benefit Jeffrey Epstein for his own personal gratification, and that he had lots of rich and powerful friends, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those people were assaulting women, just because you had a meeting with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes, and as you point out, the spokesperson for Bill Clinton has said that this is all irrelevant and old news, and he's done nothing wrong. But I'm wondering how much sort of the shockwaves sort of spread. Does this sort of cast a shadow more than already was over Bill Clinton and sort of by association Hillary Clinton and by association certain Democrats?
I think in some ways this may be, mentioned in their biographies or, obituaries one day, but it won't be a prominent feature. And so I think that for someone like Bill Gates, his friendship with Epstein hurt his own marriage, which is, he's no longer married to Melinda Gates, and people like Larry Summers, who is the former Treasury Secretary to Bill Clinton, former top economic advisor to Barack Obama. He has stepped away from public life for at least a period of time. We don't know if he'll return because he was, seen in earlier emails linked to Epstein in pretty close of a way. You have the Goldman Sachs' top lawyer. She seemed to be an informal advisor to Epstein. And so people are paying consequences in the public arena in terms of their reputations. You can't really unwind the clock on that. But I think Bill Clinton isn't sweating on this. I think he's enjoying hanging out with his grandchild.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much indeed for all your thoughts and analysis. That was Daniel Lippman, White House reporter for Politico.